I just did a chakra alignment session with one of my clients, and I wanted to come here and share this with you because if you are someone who is interested in the chakras and, you know, doing Reiki, or if you're feeling drawn to it, if you know or if you don't know, the entire human experience is in our energy centers, is in our chakras, and each one has its own characteristics and its own job and its own energy. And if you don't know too much about the chakras, I want to invite you to grab my free chakra guide in the description below. So the reason why I want to share this with you is because if you are someone that is working with your chakras, with the energy centers in your body, specifically the 7 main ones, is the ones that I usually like to talk about, this could be really helpful for you to understand what this could look like. So with my client that just left, we started the chakra alignment session and I started working on her. Obviously, we're starting with the root. As I always say, we always want to start with the root. This is the foundation of your entire building. So you always want to start with the root. It's called root chakra for a reason. So in the root chakra, what's coming up is, you know, sometimes I'll work on clients and like there's no energy that's flowing in the root chakra. They don't have groundedness, they don't have stability, they don't have security. These are the characteristics of the root chakra. But in this case, it was not the case. It just felt like what needed to be done in this energy center for her specifically is just to bring it back to balance. So it just felt like the masculine side was out of balance with the feminine side. So actually what I felt called to work on through the energy weaving is to bring the feminine side back into balance with the masculine side. So this is what it felt like in the root. And then we moved into the sacral chakra, and the sacral chakra was feeling like all over the map, all over the place. And when I started working on it, it's like it felt like just like kind of like bringing a lot of like scattered energy back into balance. But there was something else about it, and I only found out about that when I went up to the solar plexus. So I started going to the solar plexus, and the solar plexus actually in this case for this client felt pretty good. And I want to say that just a few months ago, her solar plexus was not in a good shape at all. And in the last few months, we've been working a lot on the solar plexus. And now by the time we got to the solar plexus, it felt pretty solid. It felt pretty good. But then I was noticing that there's something between the connection between the sacral chakra and the solar plexus that felt a little bit like something in the connection is like something is glitching in the connection, if you put it this way. So what I started doing is I started working and I started weaving between those two energy centers, between the sacral and the solar plexus. And then when I was keep working on it, then all of a sudden I noticed a like about this size, about tennis ball, a little bit smaller probably, size of a knot, like an energetic knot in the left top side of her sacral chakra. Now, if you think about the sacral chakra, this is very feminine energy, like the signature of this energy center is very feminine because it's all about sexuality, sensuality, intimacy, one-on-one relationships. It's about emotions, right? So it's very feminine characteristics. Now, if you don't know, I always talk about it. They all have all energies, meaning they all have masculine and feminine energies, but each one has a signature of a certain energy. So in this case, it's very feminine. And the knot was on the left side on the top. And the left side is the feminine side or the mother side. So the way it felt to me while I was working on her is that this knot is almost blocking the energy to flow properly on the feminine side, which, by the way, totally shows up in her life around relationships, around sexuality, around sensuality. And it's just kind of like an energetic, the energetic structure of your chakras are just going to be the base and the foundation and the root of of the physical manifestation of how it shows up in your life. And there's nothing wrong about it. There's nothing bad about it. It's just when we're able to connect with the energy structure in our chakras, we're just able to become aware of it and then just kind of bring it back to balance. So I started working on the knot, and it felt to me like the knot was not ready to be open yet, and it wasn't like a crazy knot. So sometimes I'll like work on people and they'll have like huge knot, and that is like really hard to like work on it in one session. But in this time it wasn't so big, and it just like felt like this knot is not ready to be open yet, but we started that communication with this knot. Okay, so from here we moved to, again, like I said, the solar plexus was pretty solid, and the heart chakra, she has a very, very powerful, strong heart chakra. It felt, so the way I try to explain it to her, like the heart chakra felt really solid on the deeper layers, but on the top, like on a surface level, it was a little, just like a little out of balance. So it was just like a tiny bit of like coming back to balance. And so what I try to explain to her between the solar plexus, by the way, solar plexus is all about our sense of self, personal power. This is who I am, like setting boundaries, confidence, which is something we worked on a lot in the last few months, like I said. But the difference between the solar plexus and the heart is actually, it's very interesting. So the solar plexus felt really solid, really good. There was nothing to basically work on in the solar plexus for me. But the heart chakra, there was a tiny thing that was kind of on the surface that I had to kind of realign. However, on a deeper layer, in a deeper layer, like in a very, very deep, like way deeper layer, the heart felt stronger than the solar plexus. Meaning the heart is really solid, but she just had something that kind of took something on the surface out of balance. Where the solar plexus felt pretty good, but there's more layers. And of course, there's always more layers to all of them because it's energy, it's multidimensional, right? So it's just kind of a matter of like where you're at, what's your baseline, what is it that's coming up in your life, what is it that's working, and we're always looking at the balance between all of them. Because like I said in some of my other videos, when we work with the chakras, we're not supposed to prioritize one over the other, because the best results or the best impact that it's going to have on your life is that all of them are going to be balanced together, right? So it's not like, oh, I'm just going to focus on my crown because of my spiritual connection, and I'm not going to focus on all of these. And then what happens is you just kind of floating, and you're not grounded, you're not, you don't feel safe in your body, you don't allow yourself to feel your emotions, maybe you don't know how to set boundaries, right? So that's why it's really important to have all of them balanced at the same time, and just kind of like working with the layers based on who you are and where you're at on your journey. From there, we moved into the throat chakra, which is obviously center of the throat. It's all about communication, speaking my truth. It's all about expression. What I felt in this energy center is that on the right side, there was a ton of energy, like a ton of energy. And on the left side, it was very weak. So what I did in this case is like, I balanced those two energies. Like I balanced like the energy from the right side to the left side, just to kind of balance it with the rest of them. And then we'll move to the third eye, and the third eye had, it was perfect. It was amazing. And it's totally in alignment with what's been coming up in her life. She had wild dreams, which is all about third eye. She had a lot of connection to her ancestors and her spirit guides, which is, all the clairs, and it's inner wisdom, intuition, which is has been really connected to this in the past, week. So in this case, where I was working on her third eye, which is in between the eyebrows, it was like a huge spiral was going on, and then two big spirals on both sides, the same exact size, meaning in that case is that this one was super balanced in that case. And then the crown was pretty good as well. It's like, just a little bit of like working on it, but it felt pretty good. It felt like kind of like aligning with the rest of the building. So I wanted to share this with you because it's very, 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 very nuanced for every single person, right? So like for each person, for each individual, it's going to be slightly different based on your traumas, your experiences, who you are, what you came here to learn, what you came here to do, all of that good stuff, right? So, I mean, because yesterday I had another chakra alignment session with a client, and that was totally different. Totally different. And so I want to invite you, if you're someone that wants to have that assessment for yourself, for your own energy center, for your own chakras, to really go into each one of them and kind of finding what is the places that it's out of balance or blocked or weak, right? And it can be all of them all at the same time. Maybe it's a little too open, and the way that it, like really seeing the way that it shows up in your life in like actual symptoms, like issues in relationships, maybe fear of being seen on social media, maybe you feeling like the issues with communication, maybe there's like emotional eating, maybe there's like negative body image, maybe there's like overly emotional, or not feeling your emotion at all. So all of stress, anxiety, all of these symptoms, the root of them, the energetic structure of those symptoms are here in our chakras, in our energy centers, inside our bodies. So if you're someone that feels called to assess this for yourself, I want to invite you to book a free discovery call in the description below, and we're gonna go over where you at, what is it that's coming up for you, and or you can just go straight to my website, which is www.embodiedchakras.com/services. Okay, so then you can just go straight to my services, and you can just book a chakra alignment session for either 60 minutes or 90 minutes. And the last thing I want to share with you is, the last thing I want to share with you that feels really important for me to say here is the way that I work with the chakras is through energy weaving. So basically what I do is I weave the energy between chakras. And I don't know if you heard the term energy weaving, but if it's something that you hear it and you're like, ooh, what is that? And you feel curiosity, you feel some, maybe you heard it, but and you feel some draw to this, like to this words, like energy weaving. What does it mean? Basically, I'll give you a bottom line. Like what it means is like energy weaving is, you know how we live in an infinite energy field? We live in the web of the universe, in the web of life. So there's the web of the planet, and of course it goes out to the web of the universe. And energy weaving, what it does is we're able to weave on the web. Just like spider is weaving on their web, it's the same thing. We're weaving on the web. So you can do healing for people on the chakras, and also grid work, so also working on the planet. So if this is something that you feel curious about, if it's something that you feel drawn to it, it's something that, what is it? I would like to interview you. I would like to talk to you about this for a very, very sacred project that I'm working on right now, currently. And I would like to ask you a few questions on an interview. So I want to invite you to go to the description below and find the link to book an interview with me, and I will ask you some questions. What I found on these interviews is that every single person I had on these interviews, it was really, really helpful, not only for my own sacred project, but also for the person who came on the interview, because they got a lot of clarity, they got a lot of understandings, they learned a lot, I answered some questions, so I'll be happy to do that. So if that's you, if something in your soul is calling you, I want to invite you to book that interview, and I would love to see you. Thank you so much for watching this. Let me know in the comments your thoughts, your comments about this. I would love to hear from you, and please, if you haven't already, make sure you like this video. It would really help me a lot, and I hope you have an amazing day.